Hey, you are not speaking with my real self here, okay? You are speaking with the persona. Welcome, my friend, to the most anti persona podcast and most transformative podcast in the world. We are, yes, you know it, we are the Mastermind Podcast Challenge. Season what? Season 2 with your host, your doctor, the persona, Derek Israel, and this is the episode. Oh, I like this number a lot. 5 is my favorite number. I don't know a lot about numerology. I don't know if that make a lot of sense spiritually, but 5 is my favorite number. And this is the episode 555. Ta-da! Oh my god, what that means. Ta-da! This must be a conspiration. Ta-da! This must be the Illuminati. Ta-da! And we are here every Monday through Friday, approximately 4 a.m. MST. But I come every morning and I do my best to give you the best information and practicality, because not only intellectual information, but practical aspects of personal development and spiritual expansion. So if you want if you want more of this, please join us. And also, I want you to say before we continue with the subject of today about the archetype of the persona. I just want to mention that I have still until tomorrow the offer for discovering your life purpose with 75% off. That is my most popular Spanish program, Manifesting Your Life Purpose. And I translate it in English. I am launching first time ever that program with me with 75% off. That offer ends tomorrow. So go to the link in the description at the end of this podcast, check the information, and hey, let me help you to discover the most important thing that you can do for your happiness, for your direction, and for your manifestation in your life. And that is your life purpose, what you will manifest in your life. Okay, what will be your purpose? So today I'm very, very excited. I have been thinking about this podcast for years, this particular episode for years. In a lot of my previous episodes, I always refer to the persona archetype whenever I want to illustrate a point about you being a hypocrite or you being a fake person or you being a social mask. I always say, yes, that is the persona archetype. And coming soon, I will do an episode about it. But I have never done it. This is the first time ever that I am doing it, and it's a very essential archetype. So if you are very into the archetypes theory and spiritual wisdom, I have a whole mini series in this podcast that is a reproduction list in my YouTube channel, Dr. Derek Israel. You can go there and you can go in the you can search in the reproduction lists. I have one that is called archetypes and arquetipos. That is basically archetypes in Spanish. And in that reproduction list, you can see the whole list of different archetypes that I have already discussed. I discussed the warrior, some of them on Spanish, some of them on English. You just watch whatever you understand. But I have discussed the warrior, the king, the buffoon, the wise man. I discussed what else? The lover. I'm about to discuss really deep the shadow. Today we are discussing the persona. So I have discussed a couple of them. So yes, let's continue doing this because this, I think, is one of my most important contributions to the world. These archetypes series that I am doing, I believe this because this is so essential. And so before we continue, what is an archetype? I just always like to give at least one or two sentences about what is an archetype. Maybe this is the first time that you hear kind of the concept. Well, the archetype is like kind of a, I always explain it differently because I am trying to look for ways to explain it very, very simply that everyone can understand. But just to say, an archetype is like a button in your mind. Like you can push that button and you have a different kind of mind, right? So if you push that button, maybe you can be a king. And if you push other button in the remote control, you can be a buffoon or a comedian or a fool. Or you can push a button and you can become a warrior, and everything in your life change. Like if you push the button of the warrior, like you have a sword and you have a shield, and if you push the button of the lover, then you have a guitar and you have a flower, because every button gives you a certain type of disguise and tools. And with those disguise and tools, you can act in the world in a certain manner that will be most beneficial to you. Something like that is archetype. So it's like modus of being. They are like states of being that we use in our daily life just to be able to thrive in life. They are very, very important. Okay, very, very important. So that is an archetype. But now, what is the archetype of the persona? What is this specific archetype? And before we continue, I know that I have been like, before we continue, but it's important. I want to set the foundations because it's going to be an important episode today. Before we continue, this episode will be heavy with visuals. So I will be presenting some visuals like in a couple of minutes. So if you are only listening to the audio, you will be missing that. Reconsider if you want to go to my YouTube channel, and also in Spotify station, I have the video there, and to see the video podcast just to have more context. Okay. So what is the persona archetype? In a phrase or in a nutshell, the persona archetype is your social mask. That's it. The persona archetype is your social mask. Basically, is what you present to the world. That's why when I um, start this podcast today, what I told you, you are not speaking with myself. You are speaking with the persona. I said that because I put this chair to come here. I put this beanie before coming here. I am speaking here in a certain way because I know that I am live, and I know that this podcast will be forever associated with my brand. And although I am trying to be the most authentic that I can, always I have a little bit of this social mask that I put on every time that you are speaking with someone. In this case, I am doing a video, I'm doing a performance. Also, I have a little bit of the persona. You are not talking right now, you are not hearing the complete, most authentic Derek Israel. You are speaking maybe with a 85-90% authenticity. And that is with a lot of work that I have done just to eliminate more and more and more the persona in my psyche and become more myself. But I can never be completely myself when I'm in a social uh Environment, because as I will be explaining to you, that will not be functional. Then we will lack order in society. If everyone is completely themselves without any type of social mask, chaos will follow. Okay, chaos will follow. I am not saying that we all are supposed to have this big mask. No, 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 no. Not go. Do not go to the other opposite side. I'm just saying these masks that we use, the persona, this disguise that we use for playing different type of roles, the role in your job, the role with your family, the role that you need to play with your church, the role that you need to play with your boss, the role that you need to play with the political party, the role that you need to play with your wife. Everything that we do, you know, is serving for us to have a better organization and a better relationship with those that are with us. So this is not an archetype that is kind of stupid, lame. I used to think that before, when I was more immature and I didn't have enough psychological and archetypal development in my own life. I used to be a hater of the persona. I used to be the one that used to say in my old days when I was studying my bachelor in psychology. I was like, the persona, the persona is stupid. I am not the persona. I am the most real. I'm the authentic Derek Israel. In that moment, I was Derek Ortiz, because Derek Israel is like the media personality. Um, so in back in my bachelor, I was not doing this. So I was like, I am Derek Ortiz, and I am real, and I am not faking anything. But then I realized that strategy, it doesn't work in society. It doesn't work. You have to have a little bit of the persona, and that is okay. So I don't want you to be demonizing this archetype. So these two archetypes, the shadow and the persona, are so easy to demonize. And we don't want to associate us with them. We say the shadow, oh, the darkness of the human mind. I don't want that. I am not that. I am light. I am consciousness. I am light. No, you are a fucking shadow. That's what you are. But you like to demonize it. You like to externalize it, right? And that is the whole opposite of what you need to do. You need to integrate your shadow in your mind. You need to accept your shadow. You need to make love with your shadow, also with the persona. We don't like to be perceived as fake or as false. So we say, I am not the persona, I am real, I'm authentic. You are not that. Just accept that you are a persona. And I will be giving you an example of what is a real person without the persona, just to see if you really wants to be like that. So why this archetype is so important? This archetype is so important because we are living in a multiverse of multiverses. And this is a very profound idea. We are living in a multiverse of multiverses. And what I mean is that each of us is a multiverse. Each of us is a unus mundus. One, each of us is our own world, but our own world is interconnected with other different worlds, people, and each people is a multiverse. So how we can organize all of this multiverse in a space together without taking our head off like we used to do back in the day, without being extremely chaotic, without being so dysfunctional and so primitive that we cannot even work together. How we can do it when we have so many different personalities, we have different races, we have different languages, we have different interests, we have different political views, we have different social classes. And yes, I know that a lot of them are social constructions, I know, but we have them. We have so many different. We have different genes. We have different perspectives in the world, different religions, spiritual beliefs, different metaphysical explanations. What is reality? What is God? Why we are here? What is the purpose of humanity? We all have different intellects, different books that we have read, different cultures. Just notice how different, how much difference we each one of us have between us, how we can coexist, man. This is a miracle that we are not killing each other every day like we used to do. This is a miracle. And this is in part thanks to the persona archetype. The persona archetype is the one that is basically maintaining a lot of the control in society, a lot of the order that we have. I know it is not a perfect order. Yes, we have sometimes war and we have sometimes stupid stuff. We are not perfect, but at least we can, live in a society in which you are not thinking every day that you are going to die if you are living in a safe place, right? So that is thanks to the persona archetype, because the persona archetype is maintaining social expectations in your mind. So let me tell you how you will be if you don't have the persona archetype. So this is a famous philosopher. He was a Greek philosopher. In Spanish, I refer to him as Diogenes. In English, maybe Diogenes, or I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. But if you Google Greek philosopher the dog, you will find his information. And this philosopher is very famous because he didn't have the persona almost. He literally eradicated the persona of his mind, and he became what his nickname was pointing to, a dog. So if you want to be without the persona, you will be very similar to a dog. So if that philosopher, he was famous because if he wanted to pee, wherever he was, he just took out his penis and he pee. And people were like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And he was just peeing like a dog. If he wanted to take a poop, they were in Greek doing some democracy, doing some politics, doing some I don't know, theater, because they were so sophisticated in their social and cultural manifestations, and everyone was tranquil, watching the political debate or whatever, and he was suddenly taking a poop besides you. That is a person without the persona archetype. So he was not thinking, oh, I think that other persons will not like if I just take a poop right here. So therefore, let me go somewhere else when no one else will be disturbed. Right? That is the persona. That system in your mind that thinks you should not poop in the front of the mall, with all of these people here. You should not poop here. You should poop in the bathroom. That is the persona. So if you say that you don't want to have the persona archetype in your mind, okay, do it. But do it for real. Go right now to a Pizza Hut right now and take a poop in front of everyone in the middle of the line. Do it. You say that you don't want the persona, do it then. Because that is what the philosopher used to do. A philosopher that eradicated the persona archetype. He was living authentically 100%. So if you want to live authentically 100%, every time that you want to pee, you will pee. Every time that you want to fart, you will fart. If I was living 100%, I just wake up. I don't care to take a bath. I don't care to, brush my teeth. I just will come here without shirt, and I will be here and I will say, hey, what's up? You know, and I will not be thinking about, hey, I need to pronounce this good. I need to be able for them to understand my English. I need to control the bad words because I want to this content at least to be watched uh, by adolescents and maybe some children, some kids. So I need to control that. Remember, I am a psychologist. I need to be ethical. I cannot say this. I cannot hypothesize that. I always bring that into this performance. I am not just authentic, right? So that is the persona archetype, my friend. Is about is about relationships, and it's about navigating the world in the most functional way. Now, I know that a lot of you learn by examples. So I just had a lot of fun today. I just woke up 3:30 a.m. today, and I was just preparing the podcast, and I have so much fun with this part. So I was looking in my mind, and I saw I did a little bit of Google, but Google didn't give me too much. Like, people do seem to not understand archetypes, and this is good because now I have more space to work. Right, I'm a pioneer. Well, I'm not a pioneer. Like, I didn't invent archetypes. This is a Carl Jung work. I'm eager before him, but I think that I'm a pioneer, like trying to explain this in a contemporary manner, because people that talk about this, they don't know what archetypes are. But anyways, so I had a lot of fun, like trying to look in my mind people and characters, fictional characters that can illustrate the archetype of the persona. So maybe you will understand better with these archetypes, with these persons, okay? So this is the moment in which you will be benefiting from watching the screen. So take that into consideration. So the first person that I will bring that illustrate this archetype pretty well is Robin Williams. And I'm pretty sure that you are familiarized with this guy because he was a comedian in the persona, but in the inside, he was depressed. He was so depressed, actually, that when he got more sick, he got, I don't know if it was a type of dementia or something like that. He suicide. And this is very, very, very sad story. But we all know him, right? We all know his movies because he was an excellent actor. He seems to be a great human being, good heart. But really, every time that he went to act, it was his work, it was his job. It's not like he could do differently, but every time that he was laughing, maybe he was laughing with the persona, not with his real self. I'm not saying that every time. I'm just saying that maybe sometimes, because when you are depressed, well, and you are an actor, you need to fake a lot. If you are trying to do a comedy movie, well, you need to be operating from the persona all the time in order to sustain that role. So Robin Williams is a good example of when this archetype may go wrong. The second example is a Puerto Rican artist and singer, and he's very, very global. So I think you may know him. Is Anuel Double A, Anuel Double A. So this guy, I have no problem with him. No problem. I don't like. I am not a super fan of him, but also I am not a hater. But I want to illustrate his case because he also recognized this. He's one of the best products. He's one of the best products that the urban industry have done in our history. Like, and I consider my history because we are the pioneers of the urban kind of genre as a music, reggaeton, and yes, reggaeton. So I am from Puerto Rico, so I'm very proud of that invention. And yes, it's an invention. Reggaeton is a mix of other music types that already existed, but we invented something new that is now trending in the whole world. Like that urban music, Bad Bunny, Mike Towers, all of those guys, they are pretty good. So the case with Anuel is that he has confessed before that he's a very depressed guy. He's sometimes not happy at all. But every time that he is on social media or you see his videos, musical videos, he's with this character with this persona. Like if everything is okay, like he's gangster, he's kind of a drug dealer. That is the persona. That is the character. That is the product. That is the gimmick. Okay, that they have built. And this guy, he operates from the persona pretty good. It makes sense business wise. It makes sense. People like his persona, but sometimes he feels very depressed because he's a little bit disconnected with his authentic self. So Anuel is a good example. Now, this other example, I brought him because he's the whole opposite of what a persona is. So I think that this guy, he eradicated the persona a lot, although he's not like so in the extreme as the philosopher that I was talking about earlier, but he's a pretty good non-persona guy. And this is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, like Donald Trump, he every time that he speaks, he's speaking with his gut. You may not agree with him, you may hate him, but he's speaking with authenticity. Like what he speak, he feels. He's not political correct like most politicians. And that's why I wanted to bring it, because he is not kind of the persona. And I want you to have and appreciate that contrast. Also, the persona is the typical Christian priest that is also a pedophile. Now, I am not saying that this guy right here is that. I think that this guy is a pope or something like that. I just took the picture for him to represent the point. I am not saying that he's a pedophile. I am not suggesting that. But what I'm suggesting, that we know that a lot of priests ends committing sexual crimes. Why? Because they are in the persona. Every time that they are in the church, they are this godlike figure, all good, all perfect. But when the lights are out and everything is dark and no one is watching, they are a pedophile. That is a typical persona. Mr. Satan of Dragon Ball Z. Um, this guy is very interested. I also brought him in the Buffon archetype because he's a Buffon as well. But he's a persona as well, specifically when he was fighting with Cell. So if you watch Dragon Ball Z, you know that after he fight with Cell, he become older and he become more authentic when he becomes a grandpa and stuff like that. But before, when he was younger, in this particular photo that I'm showing, image, well, he was basically telling the world that he was the greatest fighter in the world, that he was supreme, that he was about to defend the earth against this alien that is called Cell, and everyone is believing him, but he knows in his mind that he's weak, and that guy Cell, he's gonna destroy him, right? Because Cell has superpowers and stuff. But he's always showing off, and when the camera is on and he's in a news show, for example, he's again doing the persona. He's acting his way in life. So that is kind of a fictional character of the persona. Also, this one, I think you may be familiarized with him, Severus Snape from Harry Potter. I think he's a pretty good persona, because at first we all thought that he was a bad guy and that he was being the persona, but in Hogwarts. Like we thought that he was an ally of Voldemort and he was faking his way in Hogwarts just to crush Dumbledore and Harry. But then at the end of the movie, I don't want to spoil you, but we realized that he was being the persona, yes, but with Voldemort and not the other way around. So he was being fake and, portraying this mask with the dark side just to take information and to be able to destroy the dark side. And he didn't love Harry Potter, but he was not an enemy of Harry Potter. And he always loved Dumbledore, right? So I think that Severus Snape is an interesting character, fictional character, that illustrate how you can play with the persona in different scenarios. So if you saw Breaking Bad, you know this guy. His name is Gustavo Gus Fring. He's the owner of Los Pollos Hermanos in Breaking Bad series, the original. And I love this guy and this character because he seems to be a very submissive, average, normal, not that special kind of guy. He's a owner of a fast food restaurant and that's it, right? But that is just the persona. If you watch the series, you know that this guy is a huge and a big drug dealer. He's a criminal, he's an assassin, he's a bad guy. But everyone thinks he's just a owner of a Los Pollos Hermanos. He's just the guy who owns a Kentucky Fried Chicken. Nothing else. But that is just the persona. In the real life, he's a drug dealer. And the final example that I want to illustrate for you to understand better the archetype is if social media platforms were an archetype, Instagram will be the persona. Instagram will be the persona. Why? Because in Instagram, everyone is living the life of the persona, right? Almost everyone is showing off in Instagram. They are only showing what they want other people to see and to believe. They are not showing their real self. So if sometimes I am surprised with this, I see a person in Instagram that is very, very religious. And then when I see the same person on Twitter, that is another archetype. Twitter is not the persona. Twitter is more real, more authentic. You have less fear, less social pressure there. You know, that same person that is very Christian and very believer in Instagram is satanic in Twitter. I'm like, dude, why the hell? But then I understood Instagram, they invented the filters, or at least they popularized the filters. What is a filter? A filter is a persona. A filter is something that you put in the photo to fake the photo, right? To put something extra to the photo, something that will be more socially acceptable, more socially welcoming to the photo. A filter is like a feature of the persona, and Instagram is like the platform of all the personas. So be careful. Watch your Instagram and say, is that me? Is that really me? And you will understand what I'm trying to say. So now I already gave you the importance of the archetype. Now you know it's important. Now I will give you the limitations of the archetype, because this is essential for you to work with these limitations in order to integrate this in your whole mind. So one of the limitations is that the persona limits your authenticity and your spontaneity. And I think that this is self-explanatory. Like, if you are limited in your authenticity and your spontaneity, how happy you will be. You will not be very happy, because you will be faking so much stuff in your own life that you don't have even energy to be happy and to connect with your real self. And also, to be spontaneous is one of the most artistic and beautiful things in the world. Like, how bad it is always be double thinking stuff, extra thinking stuff, extra planning stuff, and not being able to do the thing directly and with spirit and with the moment, with the kairos, with the synchronicity of life. So the persona sometimes kill the spontaneity of your words, the spontaneity of your body. Like, maybe you want to walk like you really walk, but the persona said, hey, don't walk like that. Walk more tranquil, walk more civilized. That is one example of how the persona can be killing your spontaneity. Maybe you want to talk in a certain way, and the persona is like, hey, you don't you, you cannot speak like that. For example, I will give you an example of my own. Like, when I change my language in the podcast and in most of my content from Spanish to English, at first I was hearing this voice in my mind when I was doing the podcast, telling me that I have to pronounce good, that I have to be, the most perfect that I can in this language in order to be understood and to be respected and in order to be understand by people. But then I wanted to express my English as a Hispanic would do. Like instead of trying to speak English as a native English speaker, I have the idea why I cannot like speak as a Hispanic. Like I know that is not my first language. Why I cannot empower myself to understand that it's not my first language and to speak it but as a Hispanic with the Latin style. And you know that Latins, as I am, we have a kind of a particular style when we are speaking Spanish. And if you watch, when we are speaking English, if you watch the movie Scarface, he portrayed that accent. It's like, well, what's up, man? Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's kind of a very particular accent that we have. But I was suppressing that accent because I wanted to sound more neutral in my English. But who wanted to sound more neutral? The persona, the persona on my mind. The real Derek, he wanted to sound like I sound, like spontaneous, Hispanic, because I am Hispanic. I am a Spanish speaker first and mostly, and I will be forever, right? So now I feel that I am flowing better in English because I am letting more my authentic English to arrive. And sometimes if I want to pronounce a word on Spanish, I will do it. If I want to do Spanglish, I will do it. And if not that I am not hearing the voice anymore, I am hearing the voice that wants to have a perfect English, but I am kind of letting that voice go because it's compromising a little bit of my authenticity and spontaneity, and I don't want that in my art. That is kind of how that works for me. Also, and for this I need to illustrate a point. Let me share my screen real quick with you. So I was looking for a diagram that is very popular in psychology, and this diagram that basically this is a map of how your archetypes work together, how they interrelate. And notice here in the top of the circle, it says outer world. In the bottom, it says inner world. And notice how the persona is very, very near the outer world because this circle represents your mind and your spirit. And in the top of that, like in the most superficial place of your mind, in your most superficial dimension, you have the persona because the persona is the ultimate mediator between the social factors and yourself. Now, before the persona, you have the ego. I think that Donald Trump operates from his ego, not so much from the persona. So that means that he's more authentic than other politicians, but he's not completely authentic because he's not in the self. Notice the self is in the middle, but the self means the totality of yourself. That's why I said in the beginning, I didn't say in the beginning in the intro, I did not say you are not speaking with Derek Israel. You are speaking with the persona. I didn't say that. I said you are not speaking with myself, but I was referring to the self in the middle. In the middle. I was referring to the totality of my personality. And then I say you are speaking with the persona, right? So I just want to illustrate this because this will help you to understand better um, the point that I will be discussing now. So in proportion of your identification with the persona, how much you act this archetype, how active this archetype is in your mind. In proportion to that, you will be disconnected of your real self, the archetype. And this is a big deal because the whole purpose of you understanding archetypes and studying this as a spiritual template, as a spiritual model, is to become the self. This is why you do it. Why you want to become the self? Well, because the self is the totality of what you can be. It's your most personal development version. It's the more developed version of yourself, right? That is personal development. When you are the self, you are one with God. When you are the persona, you are one with the social expectations. So notice they are very, very, very different. Like people that are very connected to the self, they're very disconnected to the persona. Just this typical example, Jesus Christ. Do you think that Jesus Christ was very political correct? Do you think that he was caring what the king think about him or what the social institutions thinks about him? No, Jesus Christ was just being himself, healing people, meditating, praying, talking about love and about compassion and about the Father and about the pattern. He was not the persona, he was himself. That's why he changed the world forever. So remember, it is not about it's not about eliminating the persona. It's about integrating the persona in the self, in the totality of what you are, and using the persona when you need to and in the intensity that you need to, but not getting lost in the persona as well. So another limitation is that the persona limits intimacy, trust, and connection. So have you ever been surrounded or get to know a person that you know is a very fake person? Like you know that this guy he's not authentic at all. He's a persona. How much intimacy you can have with this type of persons, with this type of people? Very, very few intimacy. You don't trust them. You think that they can betray you, and they probably will. You don't have connection with them. You have a very superficial um, relationship. I remember I didn't suffer this much. I didn't suffer this phenomena a lot in my bachelor. I suffered this phenomena a lot in my doctoral program. So in the university that I used to study, they are 90% fake people, like professors, the administration, and sadly, the students, because they are a reflection of their professors and because they don't have identity sometimes. They want to be like the professor, so they act very similar. So I was in that university for 5 years, the worst 5 years of my life in that sense, because I was in a place, in a room with personas, everyone with the social mask, everyone with the social mask. And I was the only guy there, maybe me and another guy or another woman. Yes, we were a couple of them. But we were the minority that we were trying to hate to at least break a little bit the persona. We were not taking how do you say it? We were not taking a shit in the middle of the classroom like the philosopher will do, right? We were not eradicating the persona entirely, but we were trying to become more ourselves in that toxic environment. And that university, if in my experience and in the experience of most of the students that study there, that university do not give intimacy, feelings of intimacy. You don't feel intimate with them. You don't feel that you trust them. It's very sad because you don't trust your professor. You don't trust your mentor. You don't trust the administration. You don't trust the system. It's very sad. And also, you don't feel any type of connection. Maybe you can feel connection with a couple of your colleagues and with a couple of professors, and that's it. Maybe you have a different experience. When I was doing my bachelor, I didn't have this experience. So I know that it varies by institutions, but I had that experience. Also, when you are very into the persona, that limits your creativity. That limits your creativity because you will be thinking, oh man, how I will be perceived with this masterpiece that I'm creating. So if you're writing a novel, you will be writing a novel based on what other people think instead of what you think, or instead what the character think, right? If you are doing a performance, you will be doing the performance for them, not for you. If you are doing a painting, the same. If you are doing music, how bad is that? Writing a song that is for others and not for yourself, that is pretty bad. Very, very bad. So, this point, we need to have balance because we always need to think about the reader, think about the consumer, think about the other person that will perceive your art. Yes, we need to do it, but we don't need to overdo it. What we need to do in art is to be ourselves and then think, okay, what can I do to make this more general or maybe a little bit more easy to digest? And then you make a little bit of changes and that's it. And that's it, right? But you don't change the essence of your art because of your persona. Please don't do that. And if you do that, you will be a very miserable artist. A very miserable artist. You will be a slave of your industry. Okay? You will be a slave of your industry, a slave of your audience. You know how many people this is the problem um with one of the influencers of Puerto Rico. His name is Joshua Paulta. You may know him. He's a pretty cool guy. I got to know him once in a party. We have a friend in common, and he's a pretty cool guy. And that guy, he said once that he became famous in Puerto Rico with a character that he called La Pauti, and she's a woman, right? And she's like a very, very kind of how can I say that in English? She's kind of a very common, average, and very ghetto-like woman in the character, right? And one thing he said is that one of the things that he hates about the character is that he cannot be other thing that is not that character. Like if he tried to be himself in social media, or if he tried to bring another character, people doesn't follow him too much because they want him only to be the woman, the character, the other character. That's what happened when you mix too much the expectation of others of your art and your art. Then you become a slave of your audience. Now, I don't think he's a slave. I think that he has expanded a little bit. I don't know. I don't follow him too much these days. But yeah, I think that he overcome that. He overcame that. But that is something that we can all fall prey into. Like when I was up, and I still have this a little bit. I don't talk a lot about business and marketing in my social media because I think that my audience only want me to talk about psychology, spirituality, and sex. Like, and that is something that I'm constantly working, and I want to be more open on my business mind or my marketing mind, although I don't have a lot of fans in that area because I don't want to become a slave of the students that want that they are not entrepreneur, that they don't care about marketing. Okay, you don't care, but I care, right? And I want to do stuff with that. And I sometimes have struggled with that, and I haven't go all in marketing and business because of that. And now I am getting this insight a little bit more profound in my heart, and I will go all in. I am about to launch a new show on business and marketing. So yeah, I am going all in on that because I'm transcending that. And also, the persona limits your sexual truthful expression, like whatever you want to do in bed. Just You want to know the persona? Just hear your thoughts in bed. You will understand the persona. The persona is always talking when you are in bed. Oh, don't do this. Oh, what the other person will say if you do this, blah, 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 blah. If you do this position, if you do this weird, kinky stuff. And like always, you are having sex and trying to get out of yourself, but your persona is there. So, in proportion of the extremeness of your persona, will be your repression sexually. Like people that are very repressed in the bed, like they are almost like a table in the bed without moving. They are talking with the persona. They are a slave of the persona. They are a slave of how they should behave in bed, according to her mother, that also was a sexual slave of the persona, or according to his father, that is a very macho man without any type of sophistication, right? So just take this into consideration and do sexual healing, because with sexual healing, meditation, doing healthy sex, you will be transcending your persona a little bit and learning how to enact better your sexual life. And the final limitation that I want to mention on this archetype is that this archetype reduces your life purpose to a cultural pursuit. And this is very sad with most people. Most people learn that they are very disconnected of their life purpose once they are in a master program, in a doctoral program, already very, very high in the societal machine. And that happened to me. Like I understood that this is all a trap. This all of education, and you need to go to university to be someone, and blah blah blah. That is all a societal machine. It's a trap. I will be disclosing that and deconstructing that more into in the future. But I just got to know that when I was about to end my doctoral program, and I was already in debt, like because I needed a student loans to do that, and that is part of the scheme. That is part of the the machine. But but then I realized I don't need this degree to live my life purpose, but I am already here. I am already in a cultural trap, and that happens so much with people. Like so many people know that the life purpose may be, to sing or to be an artist or to be a social media influencer, but they are still stuck working on a bank 9 to 5 because that is what their family expect them to do. Or they expect them to be an engineer or a lawyer or a medicine doctor or whatever culture appreciate, and they are living a life of slavery because of that. So what is the solution? Well, you connect profoundly with your life purpose, and then you go all in your life purpose. And I can help you with that with my program, Manifesting Your Life Purpose, that today is 75% off. So go there and buy it and, start working with me. You're going to change your life. And so, how to master and to integrate and to transcend this archetype? Well, I think that you need to accept first the archetype. You need to accept first the archetype. And then to mitigate or to manage pretty well how much control and influence you will let this archetype have in your life, to have in your life. Like for me, I only let like 15% approximately of operations in my psyche. Like I am mostly authentic, mostly authentic. So that is how I deal with it. You may deal with it with a 75% authenticity, 25, 60%. I don't know. You do you. You do you. Don't turn my expectation as part of your persona. Okay? Because a mentor can also put expectations on you that are not authentic for you. So you do you. For me, it's about accepting the archetype, knowing that it's important, that it's not bad, and using that when I need to use it, when I need to navigate a social environment or terrain with success, when I need to have communication with people that have a lot of difference with me, when I need to perform very professionally, when I need to, I don't know, when I need to convince someone that I really needs to convince, I may use a little bit more of the persona, maybe at 25%, maybe at 30%, but then I come back to my base of 85, 90% authenticity. And that's why a lot of people love me, and that's why a lot of people hate me. And that's why a lot of people never will watch my content, although they know my name, because they say that guy, I cannot stand that guy. What they cannot stand about me? My authenticity. And that is what you love about me, and that is what your sister hates about me, in a nutshell. So this is it, my friend. Now you have a new task in your life, and is to get to know better your persona and to manage better that persona in relativity with your authenticity. That is your direct challenge. Okay, that is your direct challenge. Now, please share your comments in the comment section if you think, or if you can think about another character that I didn't mention in the examples that illustrate pretty well the persona. Hey, let us know. I want to have more characters that I can use to illustrate this point in the future. Also, share this episode in your social media with your friends. That helps us a lot. Also, remember that with only $5 per month, you can support this podcast that is, totally free, and is transforming thousands of lives around the world. And if you want us to continue these operations and you are thankful enough for what we are doing, hey, just donate $5 per month in Patreon. The link is in the description as well. Uh, don't forget that we have our exclusive Telegram group. It's a free group that you can join if you're watching this podcast. And also, we are about to launch our first book, Terapia con Derek, Therapy with Derek, very, very soon in the following weeks. Remember that this offer of 75% off of the Manifesting Your Life Purpose course is ending tomorrow. So don't waste any more time. Just go right now to the link in the description where it says all promoted, all promoted. You hit that link and you will be directed to the Manifesting Your Life Purpose course with 75% off and start your